On camera, she laughed while she badgered her staff. And so all good things must end. And also the Ellen DeGeneres show. Yes, the 83-year-old entertainer just announced that the upcoming 19th season of her show will be its last. Apparently, she created a workplace more toxic than an Amazon warehouse in Chernobyl. Countless allegations surfaced last summer that the show's work environment was rife with harassment and discrimination. Following those charges, Ellen's ratings dropped faster than Kevin Spacey's pants at a boy band pool party.
For nearly 2 decades, she was the laughter in our living rooms, the undisputed queen of daytime television, beaming kindness from every single screen. Ellen DeGeneres, a name that became synonymous with sunshine, empathy, and boundless, infectious dancing. We bought her merchandise, adopted her mantras, and watched captivated as she showered guests with oversized checks and heartwarming hugs, meticulously building an entertainment empire on the simple yet powerfully resonant slogan, "Be kind." She was the very personification of warmth, the beloved quirky friend we invited into our homes daily, a benevolent billionaire Oprah in sneakers. But what if the dazzling facade, the platinum smile, and the endless dance moves were just that, a meticulously crafted performance? What if the woman who constantly preached kindness was allegedly fostering a deeply disturbing culture of fear, harassment, and pervasive discrimination behind the very cameras that adored her? The whispers began as a faint murmur, then swelled into a thunderous roar of truly shocking allegations that tore through her carefully constructed image like a Category 5 hurricane ripping through a flimsy set. This wasn't just another fleeting celebrity scandal, it was a profound betrayal of trust, a dizzying, uncomfortable dive down a rabbit hole lined not with sequins, but with unsettling secrets and uncomfortable truths. And when two fearless voices, known for their sharp critiques and unyielding pursuit of truth, the piercing intellect of Megyn Kelly and the brutal comedic genius of Gutfeld, decided to pull back the curtain, the resulting expose wasn't just headline news. It was a brutal, unforgettable unmasking that forced Hollywood and us to finally confront an uncomfortable, undeniable reality. Get ready, because the true story of Ellen DeGeneres' dramatic downfall is far juicier and far more revealing than any dad joke she ever told.
It led to article after article of people being like, Ellen's a bitch. Ellen is a nasty person. And all these staffers started to come out, not for nothing, but I know a guy, I know him very well, whose sister worked for her, who said, you were not allowed to make eye contact with Ellen in the halls of that show. If you saw her, this is not a nice person. So she eventually got canceled, but now she's coming back. She's got a Netflix special.
The deluge of allegations painted a chilling and utterly contradictory picture. Forget the celebrity selfies and the feel-good segments. Staffers began to reveal a workplace so profoundly toxic, it made an Amazon warehouse in Chernobyl sound like a luxurious spa retreat. Countless horrific accounts surfaced, detailing rampant harassment, pervasive discrimination, and a culture of fear so entrenched that employees were allegedly forbidden from even making eye contact with Ellen herself. In the halls of the show, you were not allowed to make eye contact with Ellen, a source whose sister worked for her chillingly revealed. This is not a nice person. Imagine the crushing psychological toll of working in an environment where seeing your boss meant actively looking away, lest you incur her wrath. This wasn't just a few disgruntled employees with isolated complaints. It was a tsunami of consistent similar accounts, each one chipping away relentlessly at the meticulously constructed facade of America's most beloved host. Her ratings, once astronomical, began a freefall more dramatic than Kevin Spacey's pants at a boy band pool party, directly correlating with the public's dawning realization of this stark, brutal contrast between her on-screen persona and her alleged off-screen actions. The Be Kind bumper sticker simply did not match the emotional hit and run happening behind studio doors.
It was just the excuse. She is, Emily, I watched her comedy special. It was like a huge pity party. It was about how she was lamenting how her reputation has suffered. She's essentially as popular as a pit bull with monkeypox. But she's putting this on Trump. Do you think that she's going to be, just everybody's going to love her in England?
I have a question for you on this. This is perfect for you. Because I'm seeing this week that there is an attempted comeback by somebody who did not cross one of those fateful lines of the misstepping on their sacred cows of gender or race or sexuality.
Yeah.
But she was said to be a nasty biatch, and that's Ellen DeGeneres. Yeah. So her show got canceled after she had this testy exchange with Dakota Johnson, where something happened where Dakota said, oh, I had this birthday party, and Ellen said, well, why didn't you invite me? You didn't invite me. And she said, like, no, I did invite you, Ellen. That's not what happened. And Ellen had blown her off. And then tried to play the victim on the set with her. Anyway, it led to article after article of people being like, Ellen's a bitch. Ellen is a nasty person.
But here's where the story takes an even more unsettling and infuriating turn. Hollywood's deafening, complicit silence. The same celebrity circles that once clapped like trained seals at Ellen's every joke, every charitable act, every saccharine monologue suddenly developed a collective, convenient case of laryngitis. Famous friends who once flocked to her set, vying for a spot on her couch, vanished into thin air, offering only tepid Instagram support that read less like genuine empathy and more like desperate attempts to remember if they'd signed a non-disclosure agreement. It was a massive industry-wide shrug, a bewildering display from an industry that so frequently preaches empathy, progressive values, and accountability. Why was no one, no established media outlet, no prominent voice, genuinely surprised? And more disturbing still, why was no one willing to speak up beyond the initial unavoidable reports that trickled out? This silence hinted at a deeper, unspoken truth, a vast, unwritten Hollywood protection racket where certain stars, especially those with the right opinions, were granted an almost impenetrable immunity, their personal scandals quietly swept under the pristine red carpet. It was a clear demonstration of how political alignment and perceived virtue could act as a shield against legitimate scrutiny, a system that effectively enabled bad behavior for the chosen few.
Story. So Ellen and her wife, Portia, have left their millionaire haven of Montecito for England. Now they're saying they'll never come back in the wake of Trump's win. Do you think that's the reason why she's leaving?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I mean, Ellen got canceled for real a few years ago from just being a jerk.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like a single comment she said or something she did, just lots of people saying that working for her was a living nightmare and that she's a jerk.
Then, the narrative shifted dramatically with the explosive, unyielding entrance of Megyn Kelly. She didn't just walk into the story, she kicked the door down, flipped the kindness couch over, and demanded to know who forgot to clean up the toxic sludge underneath it. If Ellen was the empress of feel-good, Kelly was the leather jacket-wearing vigilante of media hypocrisy, driving a verbal bulldozer through every single PR-crafted fantasy she could find. She didn't just question, she demanded answers, arriving with receipts, or at least a high-powered opinion printer that never ever ran out of ink. For Kelly, the issue wasn't simply that Ellen might have made interns cry, it was the media's profound complicity, their apparent lack of surprise, and worse, their unforgivable unwillingness to truly hold her accountable. Kelly, ever the surgical scalpel, cutting through the soft underbelly of hypocrisy, asked the very question that left Hollywood squirming like a plastic surgeon caught with a Groupon. If a conservative woman had a fraction of Ellen's workplace complaints, would she be hosting anything other than a deposition? She pulled out her media microscope, meticulously panning over the entire Hollywood protection racket, exposing how red carpets doubled as massive excuse mats where powerful figures could wipe their scandals clean before stepping onto daytime TV. In Kelly's worldview, Ellen's collapse wasn't a tragedy, it was a long overdue reality check. The Be Kind bumper sticker just didn't match the emotional hit and run that was allegedly happening behind studio doors. Ellen's brand wasn't merely under attack, it was under a full, unflinching audit, and Kelly arrived with the calculator.
And I think also to admit
like,
your
of
mistakes.
all people on earth to be feeling sorry for herself, Ellen DeGeneres should not be on the list.
She should at least, but make a real apology and do it.
There's no apology. It's just woe is me. I was run out of Hollywood as she speaks from this grandiose stage on Netflix. Hello, you haven't been canceled if you are doing a Netflix special. She got $20 million for the one before this. I'm sure she's fine.
But if Megyn Kelly brought the journalistic scalpel, cutting with precision and logic, Greg Gutfeld showed up to the party with a flamethrower and an unrepentant, mischievous grin, the late-night rebel known for his unique blend of biting sarcasm. An astute observation looked at Ellen's unfolding situation and didn't just scoff. He orchestrated a full-blown comedic roast. Gutfeld wasn't interested in a somber dissection. He was captivated by the sheer absurdity of it all. He took Ellen's Netflix comedy special, which she later presented as a huge pity party, lamenting her suffering reputation and attempting to pin her woes on political figures, and systematically tore it apart. "Woe is me," he quipped, dripping with irony, as she speaks from this grandiose stage on Netflix. "Hello, you haven't been canceled if you are doing a Netflix special." He ridiculed her claims of being run out of Hollywood while securing a $20 million deal for her previous special. Gutfeld painted Ellen not as a kind queen tragically betrayed by rumors, but as a malfunctioning Disney animatronic, smiling on cue, offering fake empathy, and somehow terrifying everyone backstage. He drew hilarious, yet painfully accurate, comparisons, stating that if Willy Wonka ran his chocolate factory like Ellen ran her show, the Oompa Loompas would have unionized by season 3. He imagined an Ellen show spin-off where guests wear helmets, the staff communicates via post-it notes, and dancing is replaced with HR briefings, painting a picture not of a kind queen, but of a celebrity who built a fortress of pleasantries around a volcanic core of "don't you dare look me in the eye."
Ellen told the Today Show, home of Matt Lauer, that the bad press actually had nothing to do with her decision. Right, and the Titanic didn't hit an iceberg, it chose to sink.
If it was why I was quitting, I would have not come back this year. I really did think about not coming back because it did, you know, I mean, it was devastating. I am a kind person. I am a person who likes to make people happy.
No, the real reason, she says, is it was just too easy. Telling the Hollywood Reporter, quote, "When you're a creative person, you constantly need to be challenged. And as great as this show is, and as fun as it is, it's just not a challenge anymore." Well, if that's true, here's an idea. When your viewership is down to 43%, why not consider that the challenge?
And then came the pièce de résistance. The highly anticipated apology itself, a masterclass in calculated non-apology. Ellen delivered it like a hostage, reading a ransom note off a cue card, her words having all the sincerity of a pop-up ad. "If I made anyone feel," she began, a passive voice linguistic dodge that screamed, "It's on you, not me, I didn't actually do anything." It was a carefully constructed statement, soaked in polished regret, and what appeared to be a desperate plea for public sympathy, but utterly devoid of genuine self-reflection or direct ownership. Megyn Kelly, unsurprisingly, wasn't buying a single word, immediately labeling it precisely what it was: a desperate PR move thick with denial and an almost unbearable smugness. Greg Gutfeld, on the other hand, compared the monologue to a particularly bad Saturday Night Live sketch. "It's like she forgot whether she was apologizing or accepting an Oscar," he quipped, perfectly capturing the theatricality and detachment. The internet, a ruthless arbiter of authenticity, collectively agreed. Twitter transformed into a relentless roast battle. Reddit dragged her like a broken Roomba, and even Facebook antis, typically Ellen's biggest fans, had questions. The audience who once danced along to her upbeat segments started side-eyeing her every move, actively doubting her every smile, and dissecting her carefully chosen words. People didn't just stop believing Ellen, they began actively disbelieving her, transforming her public image from beloved to deeply suspicious.
If Trump is truly responsible for Ellen's exodus, shouldn't that go down as his greatest achievement in the last 8? I mean, he should get the Nobel Prize.
He's literally going to have a who's who of left. I mean, the entire 80s music catalog is gone. You got Springsteen, Cher, Madonna. I just don't know why they keep showing pictures of Aaron Rodgers with blonde hair.
The curtain finally fell on the Ellen DeGeneres show in 2022, not with a bang, but with a quiet, almost imperceptible sigh of relief. Ratings flatlined, fanfare evaporated, and her former celebrity guests, once so eager to appear, quietly ghosted her. Ellen, once the undisputed daytime royalty, disappeared into the sunset with her designer sneakers and substantial residuals intact, but her halo, that once shining symbol of her perceived goodness, was utterly gone. She slid slowly from grace. Not a dramatic fall, but an awkward dance move followed by a well-timed fade to black. Meanwhile, Megyn Kelly was not just thriving, she was soaring. Ditching traditional network TV proved to be the best career move since Netflix dumped DVDs. She launched her podcast, built a media empire, and reeled in millions of subscribers who preferred blunt force honesty over celebrity fluff. It turns out people no longer wanted sanitized niceness. They craved the unfiltered, occasionally uncomfortable, often hilarious truth. And Greg Gutfeld, the late-night rebel with a perpetual smirk, managed to outdo traditional network hosts, all while making jokes about soy milk and elitist meltdowns. His show, Gutfeld, is now a ratings juggernaut, proving that sarcasm, when served with a dash of common sense and a healthy disrespect for Hollywood's self-importance, is exactly the kind of dessert viewers are ravenously hungry for. What worry? Witnessing then is a profound shift, a migration away from polished, smile-for-the-camera personas to voices that embrace the mess, the complexity, and the unvarnished truth. Ellen represented a brand of fame built on carefully constructed illusion, on the idea that public benevolence could shield private misconduct. But illusions, no matter how sparkly, eventually fade, crumbling under the weight of authenticity. In a post-Ellen world, viewers are no longer impressed by on-camera hugs and oversized checks. They want receipts, realness, and maybe a little roasted ego on the side. Megyn Kelly's closing argument wraps it up with a bow that doesn't dance. Ellen's true talent, she asserted, was convincing the world that kindness was merely a brand, all the while hoping no one would check the expiration date. So what did we learn from the spectacular unmasking of Ellen DeGeneres? That kind slogans mean absolutely nothing without consistent ethical action. That dancing on TV, no matter how entertaining, doesn't exempt you from accountability. And most of all, that if Megyn Kelly is holding a media microscope and Greg Gutfeld is holding a Molotov cocktail of sarcasm, you might want to cancel your afternoon taping and meticulously check your HR file, because in the unpredictable, ever-evolving landscape of Hollywood, the only thing scarier than bad press is the moment the audience stops clapping and starts truly listening.